Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fandom Sport Media live corporate webinar. This is David Vidala from RBMG. Fandom is listed on the CSE under the symbol FDM and on the OTCQB under the symbol FDMSF. Joining us today is the company's CEO, President, and Director, David Vinokurov, who will be going through Fandom's January investor presentation. This will include an overview of current operations, recent achievements, and upcoming milestones. At the end of the presentation, we will open it up for questions for management to address. If you are interested in asking a question and are logged into the Zoom app or web platform, you can submit your questions to us directly in the chat module. Please note, this presentation is being recorded today, Wednesday, January 12th, 2022, and will soon be made available on the company's website. Today's call may contain forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results, performance, or developments to differ materially from those contained in the statements and are not guarantees of future performance of the company. No assurance can be given that any of the events anticipated by the forward-looking statements will occur, or if they do occur, what benefits the company will obtain from them. Also, some risks and uncertainties may be out of the control of the company. Fandom Sports Media Corporation has a full disclaimer on page 2 of their presentation. Lastly, RBMG is not a registered investment advisor or broker-dealer. For more information, please visit rbmilestone.com. And now I'll hand it off to David. David, the stage is yours.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you guys taking your time to tune in, get an update from some of our past shareholders, and to hear the story for the first time. I'd also like to thank David and the team at RB Milestone Group for helping me put this together. And I'm very excited to talk about some of our recent achievements and give an outlook for the coming year. As David so graciously mentioned, there are some forward-looking statements that will be contained in the presentation, which he elaborated on. So I'll save us all having to go through that a second time. For those of us just hearing of the Fandom story today for the first time or looking to get more information, what our mission really is at Fandom is fan engagement and wagering through the deployment of our purpose-built platform through localized content, hyper gamification, and custom-built modular deployments to address all streamed content. The business model, as it applies to those two large groupings, is to create a fan engagement platform whereby people can watch a secondary stream or something that's embedded in our platform, swipe left, swipe right, make predictions, engage with the content, get rewarded for their time, and increase the enjoyment that they're getting either from eSports, sports, or, like I mentioned, any other type of content. The fan engagement is one side. The other side of that coin is wagering. We have a Curacao wagering license that allows us to offer esports and sports wagering in 140 different jurisdictions around the world. That service has just recently been launched, just a matter of, I think it was last week of December. We just announced the other day that the sports wagering, peer-to-peer sports wagering has been added as well. And we'll have a full traditional sports book up and running under our Curacao license within Q1. Beyond our multi-gaming license, beyond our Curacao license, we're applying for a multi-gaming license. There's two components, business to consumer, which would allow us to expand our geographic footprint, and a business to business component, which will allow us to license our technology to other existing communities. Our goal to make money from the confluence of the fan engagement and the wagering is straightforward. It'll be done through advertising, brand sponsorships, working with sports and esports leagues, white labeling our platform for other streaming platforms, other wagering platforms. With respect to the traditional wagering commissions on peer-to-peer bets, us acting as the house when the full sportsbook was live, and offering a subscription model for the free play version. We also announced that we're building a NFT marketplace as part of the rewards mechanism for encouraging people to interact with content. We'll be dropping NFTs and facilitating new technologies that will expand the way that NFTs are created from the way they are now. That is all built in-house by our team. Our CSE and CTO Stan and Chris have a fantastic background in enterprise level deployments in mission critical industries. The platform which we've licensed from their company is a web-based machine learning platform that facilitates automatic data reconciliation that allows us, and that will allow us, to operate at scale with what will be hopefully much more efficient operating margins than we see in the industry. I'll get to that a little further down when I provide the outlook. We have the exclusive license for that, for esports, for sports, and we're building something out that will address the entire streaming community. As David mentioned, obviously we are public, traded in US and in Frankfurt. You can see the symbols there. Our market cap's about $15 million. And our key cornerstone investors, we own about 15% of the company as it is. As I said, my background's in capital markets. Stan and Chris have a fantastic background in enterprise-grade technology deployments in healthcare, insurance, telecommunications, supply chain logistics. So we're really fortunate to have them with us. Our advisory board and our board of directors has a deep experience in esports, in sports, in gaming. Guy Ben-Dov, for example, is the head of the Israeli Gaming Association. Rick Padullo used to oversee all the marketing for PokerStars in North America. Mr. Yunhua Fai is the CEO of GameFi, which is the exclusive broadcaster of League of Legends, which has hundreds of millions of viewers, in China. We have a wide geographic footprint of expertise around the world, with a deep knowledge and a long history in gaming as well. Some of the industry relationships of people that we've worked with in China, Phil, our chairman, he's done numerous enterprise deals with the largest Chinese telecommunications technology companies, experience with PokerStars, Alipay, EA Sports. We've been in the gaming industry for quite some time in one way, shape, or form. For those of us that are new to esports and to gaming and to the opportunity itself, I think that, when I was first investigating esports back in 2015 and 16, teams were being bought for $20-30 million. And now, you fast forward to today, I think we're on the verge of seeing the convergence of sports and esports. It's the same titles, the same sponsors, the same professionalism on each team's trainers, coaches, dietitians. This is only going to grow. And we're very proud to be a part of this growing and exciting industry. So, where fandom really fits into this is at the confluence of fan engagement and iGaming. On the fan engagement side, when you watch a stream, whether it's TV or anything that you watch online, frankly, or vice versa now, as we watch, mobile content on our telephones and movies on our telephones and so forth, the only way to interact with anything that you're watching is watching and, maybe tweeting about it or chatting in a Discord room and, watching and chatting. What our mission is to facilitate the interactivity of what you see on the screen in real time by making predictions, getting rewarded. Twitch, Discord, these are platforms that have become ubiquitous. OpenSea, obviously everyone knows with the recent high profile of non-fungible tokens, is something that came out, the industry's gone up 1,000x in the last 6 months alone. On the wagering side, as you're watching something and you're making a prediction, if we look at it from a sports perspective, is the player who's up to bat, is he going to hit a single? Is he going to hit a double? Is he going to strike out? Is he going to, and any number of options, we can actually bet on that. Right. So that's where we see the confluence of where fandom lies between fan engagement and iGaming. So we're really looking to make a big impact in both industries. As I touched upon earlier, the growth in esports, as I said, I was following the industry already for 6 or 7 years, both as an investor and working within it. And, the projections that I saw for the industry back in 2019, where you would see it in 2024, those projections were blown through the first month after COVID started. So, I'm looking to update these statistics as I see some reliable ones come in, but, the trajectory is certainly growing. And the opportunity for wagering is also growing, a 44% compounded annual growth rate, right? So that's extremely exciting. we will see that level off, but I don't predict that we'll see that within the next 3 years. It's just booming, and as new licenses are rolling out across the U.S. specifically, which we'd like to be a part of on the B2B side, we're going to see that number grow even more. Now, when we talk about fan engagement and wagering, just strictly on the esports side, we have to look at it in the context of the overall gaming industry, right? Esports is a small niche of the $180 billion global business, which is gaming. In one way, shape, or form, 3 or 4 billion people play games, whether it's Words with Friends, Candy Crush, or your more traditional popular esports titles, Call of Duty, League of Legends, and so forth. This is a multi-$100 billion business. And when you consider what we're doing with sports and esports and what we can do with the proprietary tech we have and the impact that we make in the sports and the sports wagering business, we're looking at a multi-$100 billion market opportunity that lies ahead of Fandom Sports. Now, why I'm confident that we can make a meaningful impact about that is because we have some very purpose-built technology that incorporates machine learning, vector analysis, and so forth. This is not a system that we've built. This is a system that we've licensed exclusively from our CTO and CSO's company. It's a super successful platform that's been deployed in mission currently as we speak. For example, the platform, a unified information access platform, is used predominantly in the healthcare setting. So in the context of a hospital, you have disparate hardware and software systems, fire alarms, smoke alarms, ICU alarms, neonatal alarms, engineering systems. Each of these systems have to communicate together. Once something happens, if there's a fire in the engineering department, oxygen machines need to be shut off, nurses need to be notified, robots that are delivering medication need to be stopped immediately. So what our platform facilitates really in the context of what we're doing with esports and sports is to recognize things that are coming from different data sources, trigger events and alarms, and reconcile them in real time. So what that means from a user perspective is that as you're watching a stream, depending on whatever the lag is, that we can place forth a prediction, you can interact with it, and then we can automatically reconcile that in real time and have global leaderboards, have wagers that are getting reconciled in real time as the data comes in. It's a much more responsive experience, and it's much more intuitive for users as they're engaging with streamed content. Here are some screenshots. This is the all ages platform that I'm showing you here. So this is a lot more marketable to the overall gaming community, given where the demographics lie. So as you can see, you can log in from any number of different social platforms, pick your game, watch your stream. What you see in the static images at the top, those are actually live streams. And as you're watching that stream, regardless of the language, I know our platform even supports Klingon, believe it or not. You can swipe left, swipe right, interact with what you're seeing on the screen in real time. In real time, if you see on image 6 here, you have a global leaderboard. You see where you're rated relative to your friends, relative to the global community. And this keeps you engaged as you're watching the stream. The benefit for the streaming partner, the benefit for the advertisers is that we will help increase engagement time. More engagement time that we can increase, across hundreds of millions of people that are watching a stream or a platform, if we can increase that 2 or 3%, that's a meaningful impact, and that hopefully lead to meaningful revenues for Fandom down the road. So, I touched upon the non-fungible tokens. We minted our first non-fungible token back in June. Took 2 or 3 weeks, cost a couple $100. We minted it on one of the Ethereum protocols. But I think we've seen a generation from where, I used to collect baseball cards and, I used to eat the piece of gum that came with it. Then now, people are growing up and they're very familiar with digital collectibles. And certainly, the $2 or $3 billion worth of transactions that OpenSea did last August, it's certainly a harbinger of things to come, given the trajectory that we see with the adoption of cryptocurrencies and digital assets and obviously blockchain technology. So what we're developing, is a NFT marketplace where people will be able to buy, sell, trade, and mint non-fungible tokens based on and around the content, the teams, the brands that we will be working with. And our overall goal is just to create a whole ecosystem that will keep people within our platform, that allow them to predict, allow them to watch content, and allow them to buy, sell, trade, and mint non-fungible tokens. Now, when it comes to minting tokens, as I mentioned, those are predominantly done on the Ethereum protocols. There's a couple of those. Obviously, there's other protocols. We actually announced a partnership with Polygon. Polygon is one of the top 20 cryptocurrency protocols in the world. It is the cryptocurrency that underpins OpenSea as well. We've signed a marketing partnership with them by using their blockchain protocol, actually mint cryptocurrencies within our platform for pennies and near instantly. We also got some plans for some other blockchain initiatives, which I can't really get into at the moment. But what our real goal is not only to have purpose-branded non-fungible tokens, but it's to change the way that people create and interact with these tokens and increase the utility of it. We talked about earlier last year about minting NFTs on the fly. So the principle behind that is, as you're watching a stream content, you can hit a record button, take a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 second video grab, and then you can own that NFT as part of our monthly subscription model. Furthermore, that works fine and dandy if there's only one person watching the stream. Now, if there's millions of people watching, the last 10 seconds of the Super Bowl, for example, I'm not saying that we have broadcast rights to the NFL, just as an example, you can imagine that millions of people will want to videotape the last several seconds of that game. In an instance like that, when there's multiple people bidding on that NFT, it would come to our NFT marketplace. There would be an automatic auction. And what we'll do is we'll split the revenues with, the league, the team, obviously the broadcaster as well, to have access to the broadcast rights. And that way we're creating new revenue streams for all of our partners down the road. So I'll touch upon that in our future plans for 2022 as well. Here's some screen grabs of our NFT marketplace. This will be live once we get our all ages platform live at the end of Q1, beginning of Q2. It's a traditional marketplace and it'll be interoperable with numerous blockchain protocols. Here's the features, again, that Fandom is covering. I'm not going to go through each one individually. I would just suggest that people go to fandomesports.gg. You'll see the basic capabilities on the wagering platform. And when we roll out the all ages, you'll see that there's really no platforms out there today that can or do anything that we are capable of. On the marketing side of things, as you can see, Fandom is, I think, obviously undervalued relative to its peers. Our stock performance, if you actually look at it on a percentage basis for the last 12 months, has actually held up much better than most of our industry comparables, which unfortunately, whether it's macro or more industry related, are at or near 52-week lows. But what really excites me about this chart is that we see that there's, both on the fan engagement side and the iGaming side, that there's a significant multiple that can be realized for Fandom shareholders, provided obviously that we execute on our mission. So, I see a chart like this, it only motivates me to get us to either side of that representation there. Now, so I'd like to talk about our highlights that we had through the course of last year. We started off the year by signing an LOI with a partner company of Mr. Fai's that work in China, Funjoy Limited, that works with the top Asian game publishers, works with the top streaming platforms. There's, everyone knows about Twitch. Most people, may know about Twitch as, the go-to platform to view eSports influencers, streamers, gaming streamers and influencers, obviously YouTube gaming, but there's numerous platforms in China that have 300-400 million users, and we have access to them through our partner. We announced LOIs with GamerWager, which is a head-to-head wagering platform based in the UK, a marketing partnership with the former directors organization, Yalla eSports. They have 9 professional teams with 32 players from 27 countries in the Middle East, North Africa, one of the most highly engaged social media audiences out there. We launched the beta of our platform just last March. Again, all purpose built, that we built in-house ourselves. March 16th with 3 esports titles. Within 2 weeks, we quickly raised $5 million the first week of April. As of our last financials, which were published on December 29th, we still have $4.2 million in working capital. So we're extremely responsible with our overhead and our use of proceeds. We set up our own global infrastructure. None of our platform operates on the cloud. We're not susceptible to unfortunate interruptions of service as we've seen from Amazon and Google and so forth. We've added new board members, new management teams. We're very fortunate just this past September, actually, to have Lyle Strachan join us. He was in charge of finance for Magna Gaming. They had 1,800 racing horses in their stables, ran international gaming operations. We joined the Canadian Gaming, secured exclusive use to our technology platform. In the summer, we added the 11 additional sports titles. We started our multi-gaming applications. What we also did is we started all of our compliance procedures to make sure we're on side with all global regulations in terms of best practices to support our NFT marketplace, to support our global licensing footprint. And, that's a real cornerstone of the multi-gaming application that we're working on right now. We're just putting all those documents together. And most importantly, we did have a delay last year in terms of getting banking and payment processing set up, which have successfully been set up with backups and redundancies in place, I'd like to add. There were some regulatory changes in the jurisdictions where we had to set up our banking. That being said, that's all been solved. The ball is firmly in our court now again, and it's nice not to be subject to some third-party issues. And like I said, the whole team is excited really to accelerate the launch and deployment of the wagering platform and the all ages platform, which we're working on right now. So moving forward, why we're excited that the wagering platform is live. So how that rollout has taken place and will take place moving forward. We put up the peer-to-peer sports wagering. So, if you go back here, basically, if we look through here on June, I can log on to fandomesports.gg, pick a live esports match, and then through Facebook, Google, Twitch, WhatsApp, Viber, Pinterest, Reddit, Telegram, Twitter, invite my social community to that challenge. Now, that peer-to-peer capability for esports is now live. We just announced the peer-to-peer sports capability going live just yesterday. So we have peer-to-peer esports, peer-to-peer sports. The next rollout of the wagering platform as it is will be a full sportsbook capability. So that will, in effect, make us the house. You'll log on, you'll make wagers, with your traditional odds lines, and we'll have that full suite of peer-to-peer esports, sports, and traditional esports and sports wagering. We will be expanding our geographic footprint with our multi-gaming application. And around that same time, we'll begin our application in Ontario. Now, in Q2, we will be ready for the launch of our all ages platform. The all ages platform is different in the user interface. Again, there's no binary outcomes. There's no numbers associated. Again, it was that swipe left, swipe right. And what we're doing right now is we're working with our marketing team to gamify that, to encourage people to join the platform. We're doing some internal audits on that to make sure that it's brand friendly. And once we have that built, we're going to do some test marketing to some of the partners that we have in our pipeline already, both on the esports and sports side of things, to get them adoption. Because what our ultimate goal is, as I said, is, I use the term fandomize. We want to fandomize the world. So if you're watching a stream in China and we happen to be watching another stream, the same stream in Europe on different platforms, that regardless of what platform you're on, you'll be able to swipe left, swipe right, make predictions, challenge each other, get rewarded for your engagement time. That's a similar model that we see with Discord. Obviously this is an investor presentation, and we've seen with meme stocks that Discord has itself become a platform to share information on. Well, how Discord started, it was an agnostic chat app for video game streaming platforms. So if I'm watching a streamer on Twitch and I'm watching the same streamer on YouTube, we could communicate with each other. And I believe Discord turned down a $12 billion buyout offer from Microsoft last year with 130 million monthly active users. So as I mentioned, through our advisory board, we're fortunate enough to have access to platforms that have hundreds and hundreds of millions of users. So the opportunity in front of us is very huge. We're putting all of our marketing ducks in a row as we speak to support the launch of that in Q2. For Q3, we want to start announcing some of those pilots, start talking about some of the brands, leagues, teams that we're going to be doing opportunities with, test the NFT on the fly capabilities, and then, evaluate, some of the other blockchain technologies that we're working with. And Q4, really, we're looking to really be a global platform. Now, when it comes to, projecting revenues, as I said, we just launched the peer-to-peer esports and sports capabilities literally within the last 14 days. Traditionally what we see with customer acquisition costs, strictly on the wagering side, you're looking at about $1,500 to $1,500 US dollars for client acquisition costs. You can log on to Bet365 and they just give you $500. Given the fact that we have limited budget with the 4.2 million Canadian dollars that I mentioned earlier, that's not the best use of proceeds to go spend $3 million, where the lifetime value of those wagering customers is maybe $3,000 to $4,000. Our goal, as I mentioned, is to plug in our all ages platform to as many existing communities as possible, get people familiar with the ecosystem, and then if they are in a jurisdiction and if they are of age, we can lift the proverbial velvet rope for them and have them coming over to our wagering platform. So, the good news I can say is that Fandom Sports has made $1. We are a revenue generating company. But when it comes to, forecasting revenues and talking about meaningful revenues and sustaining operations, I think we'll see some of where those trajectory lines start to commence, probably over the summer. And, maybe we'll look at talking about where that trajectory may lead to in terms of revenue figures in the second half of this coming year. As with all things, as a startup, which is what we are, given that we purpose-built our technology just starting last September. This is a phrase my friends at RBMG told me about. You got to crawl, walk, and run. So I think we're starting to get off our knees now. We're just we're at the finish line in getting the platform operational, which is just the starting point of the scaling process. So it's very exciting. We have our business to consumer esports and sports platform going live now. We're working on the marketing to support the initial scale, to give us the data that we need to go to our partners, make the case to them, show them the revenues that we can help them generate on their platforms with our technology, and then hopefully lead to some enterprise deployments in the second half of this year. Now, we already have some of these partners in the pipeline as we speak. As I mentioned, Gamer Wager earlier. Elite Duels is a fantasy sports platform that has 90,000 active users. Funjoy, as I mentioned, is working with firms that have hundreds of millions of streaming viewers themselves. Klaus, who runs Yalla eSports, covering again, a vast demographic of active gamers. I mentioned Polygon. We signed a technology and a marketing partnership with Polygon. They have 700,000 digital wallets where their currency is being held. They're working themselves with top esports teams and leagues. I think their market cap on the cryptocurrency is maybe $20 billion. So we have a marketing arrangement with them that we'll be joining our marketing efforts to theirs at some point in Q2, first half of this year. So this pipeline is well developed. We're very excited, as I mentioned, that the ball is back in our court. And we're really looking to make a big push coming out of the starting gates for 2022. With respect to the technical information, obviously this is an investor presentation. I do want to reiterate, we do trade in Canada. We do trade in the US. FDM is the symbol, FDMSF. For our friends in Europe, we trade in Frankfurt. That symbol is TQ43. Our market cap's about $14 million. I think it's been fairly stable sideways, frankly, undervalued, frankly, in my opinion, of course. So, hopefully, I always like charts that point up and to the right. So I think we're starting to see, we're testing some resistance here at 20, but I think, we have a steady stream of milestones coming up this year that'll allow us to establish shareholder value. Our last financing was done at 24 cents Canadian. A full warrant, the warrant period was for 24 months at 36 cents Canadian. That'll bring in an additional $8.5 million. We have a fantastic group of investors, with access to institutional investment as well. hopefully some of you guys are listening as well here. We're well capitalized. We've got a very strong plan moving forward, and we have a fantastic team that's very excited to execute on the vision that I mentioned here. And we're a very transparent business, right? It touches many sectors, and I think the best way, I talk a lot and I talk fast. Maybe David, we can open up for some questions. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions about what we've done and what we're going to do and how we're going to make money. So I'd like to open up towards some questions, please.
Sure, David, and thank you for that. If you're interested in asking a question and are logged into the Zoom app or web platform, you can submit your question to us directly in the chat module. We'll take a moment to develop the queue, but while we do that, we have had some questions that were submitted to us previously. So let's go to the first question. When does Fandom expect to generate revenue from the wagering app?
We've made our first dollar, so it's not much, but that's already started. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, we're going to start marketing on the all ages side. The all ages does have a revenue component in terms of monthly subscriptions and in-app purchases and so forth. We're looking to build that community, transition that community to the wagering platform. We'll have indications on how that's working through the summer, and then I can talk about revenue projections at that point. But I'd like to see some meaningful revenue, obviously, as quickly as possible. But I think we will start to really get a glimpse of that maybe in end of Q3, beginning of Q4.
Okay. Question number 2. Does Fandom have plans to include any social media influencer sponsorship to help create awareness of the platform?
Absolutely. Definitely. As I mentioned, Yalla eSports, they own 9 sport. This is just the first one off the tip of my mind here, but they own 9 professional eSports teams with 32 players from 27 countries in the Middle East alone. We have, Neil Duffy, who's also on our advisory board, who's the chief revenue officer for eFuse. They have 700,000 users on their platform. They're one of the top Twitch plugins. Yeah, definitely. We'll be working with everybody. We want to fandomize every single esports stream out there. So absolutely 100%. We'll have news on that probably by April on who we'll be working with and how.
Great, thank you. And I know you touched on this during the presentation, but I think it's worth reiterating. Could you discuss the Malta gaming license and how that's progressing?
Certainly. So we started the Malta gaming application process at the end of August. We finished forming our Malta subsidiaries, whom we will be applying for. What we're doing right now is putting all together all the risk management, technical due diligence documents, and all the internal compliance procedures. What the Malta Gaming Authority does is they do audits on all your internal procedures, all your risk management, your technology platform, and so forth, because there's a business-to-business component, which gives partners the surety that they need, that they can rely on your platform in a regulated and compliant way. So we're putting all those policy procedures together as we speak. We're looking to make that submission to them, let's say later this month, early February. We'll obviously issue press releases, and then from there, we should have that license late Q1, early Q2. Once we do that, we'll probably begin the Ontario applications here in Canada. Canada regulated online wagering, legalized online wagering in August of last year, and the province of Ontario, which is the largest market, has opened up applications. And then ultimately, once we are operating in these more highly regulated jurisdictions, obviously we will have the business-to-business capabilities to license our platform to U.S. operators, which is the ultimate goal. Because U.S., I think New York just opened their online wagering market, and I think just the licensing fee was $25 million alone. So we've got our work ahead of us to get there, but that's certainly something that's on the radar.
Okay, thank you. What competitive advantages does Fandom Sports Media have apart from its competitors?
I think it's our technology. Our system is able to work faster with data, present that data in a unique way, in a modular way, across numerous jurisdictions in numerous languages. If you look at our wagering competitors, I challenge the audience here to go to each of their sites, remove their logos, and tell me how any site of that is different. what our advantage will be in the long run at scale is that our platform will allow us to have much more efficient operating margins. Everything that's done on the site right now, the system is monitored, right? And I'm absolutely confident that in the way that it operates, because there's absolutely no room for error when we apply that same system to the healthcare sector, right? These are real-time alarms with people hooked up to ICU machines, neonatal alarms, and so forth. So for us to plug into an eSports data feed or a sports data feed, I'm absolutely certain that nobody can touch us technologically in that data recognition and presentation capability.
Great, thank you. All right, well, we'll take one more question. And David, could you please, and I know we touched on this again before, but it'll be good to sum up. Please elaborate on the launch campaign details, for example, audiences, potential partners, something of that nature.
So we're working on all of the materials right now, tightening up the branding and so forth, domain names, social media channels, and so forth. What we want to do is go to the influencers that we were asked about earlier, enable their streams and have their communities play along. We want to enable individual esports tournaments, individual esports titles. Once we have that capability and we are embedded in those communities, start scaling that up, demonstrate that capability within esports, which is still struggling as an industry overall to generate positive revenues. Then we can confidently make the case to sports leagues, sports teams. Look what Fandom has been able to do with dedicated data feeds and enable and empower communities. So we have identified those teams, those leagues that we feel we would have a benefit to. We're making the marketing materials as we speak. The all ages platform, it's built, the technology works. We're refining it from a marketing perspective. We're going to start marketing that in Q2. We want to announce pilots and partnerships within Q2 and Q3 on the esports side. The League of Legends finals, frankly, as a Canadian company, it's very exciting that the semifinals are in Toronto this year. The finals are in North America. Given what's going on in the world, I don't know how that'll work. But again, whether people are there live or at home, in China, in Europe, in Germany, in Australia, our technology can power that. So we want to quick deploy as quickly and efficiently as possible to these communities. So like I said, there's gonna be a lot of hopefully good news for the company, March, April, May, June on these initiatives. The team is assembled. We're working on that as we speak. And that's all happening in parallel with the multi-gaming applications and the business-to-business license, right? Because as we're enabling these communities and the all ages fan engagement, the difference between fan engagement and predictions in a wager is, on the wagering side, people are putting money up for that. So as we're demonstrating this capability on the all ages side, we're activating wagering users. We're demonstrating quick credibility to the sports teams and leagues. So it's a very multi-layered effort that's going on. So, we're very excited for it. It's a lot of work, but we've got, like I said, a fantastic team around us. It's certainly not anyone's first time doing this. And, I'm very fortunate to have this team with me and with the contacts that they have and capabilities. So.
All right, great. Thank you, David. And thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. Today's webinar recording will soon be made available on Fandom's website. If you have any additional questions that have not been addressed on this webinar, please feel free to email us at fandom@rbmilestone.com. Again, that's fandom@rbmilestone.com. Thank you again, and you are now free to disconnect.
Thank you, everybody. Stay safe.